Here are the top 10 greatest wrestlers of all time. Number 10. Andre the Giant.
They called him the 8th wonder of the world. Andre the Giant was figuratively and literally the biggest attraction to ever enter a squared ring, standing over 7 feet tall and weighing about 550 pounds. He holds a reputation as being the greatest big man in wrestling, going almost 15 years, never being pinned or submitted. Andre's defining moment came during his legendary feud with Hulk Hogan, which contributed to the massive attendance of 93,173 fans all in one arena. Hulk Hogan body slammed the Giant to produce one of the most memorable moments in wrestling history, and the business has never been the same ever since. Although finding feasible opponents for Andre was no easy feat, he still traveled the world and became an icon by defeating 2 or 3 men at the same time and winning battle royals. His size, unfortunately, led to his death in 1993, but when he was alive, Andre was loved and feared by all.
Number 9. Macho Man Randy Savage.
The cream always rises to the top, and no one rose faster than the Macho Man Randy Savage. On paper, nothing about Savage should have worked, and the idea of it working nowadays is highly unlikely. Savage's stringy hair was tucked behind giant sunglasses and bandanas while he wore custom bedazzled tasseled robes, pink trunks, and spoke in a gravelly, grimy voice. But somehow, we as fans were blessed with one of the most instantly recognizable performers the world has ever seen, with show-stealing matches against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Ultimate Warrior, and the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, delivering captivating, entertaining promos to make him one, if not the best talker in the 80s. And many memorable moments, his WWF title victories, and the incredible Mega Power storyline with Hulk Hogan, the Macho King run with Queen Sherry, getting bitten by Jake Roberts' snake, and his reunion and marriage to the late great Miss Elizabeth. The Golden Era featured many colorful characters and great talents, but the Macho Man exceeded them all. An immortal character that transcended the industry with the lovely Miss Elizabeth at his side, and a flying elbow that still influences wrestlers today. No one embodies wrestling more like Randy Savage.
Number 8. Triple H.
You can call him The Game. You can call him the Cerebral Assassin. You can call him the King of Kings. You can call him a 13-time world champion, and it wouldn't matter because he is that damn good. As impressive as it is, Triple H's career is one of the weirdest, least ideal runs any wrestler could have. He started off as a high society British talent known as Hunter Hearst Helmsley that ate crap for years after the 1996 curtain call incident. He would go on to form one of the greatest stables in D-Generation X, doing crotch chops and making sex jokes, picked up a sledgehammer one day and called himself The Game, married the boss's daughter and gained political pull, tore his quad as a heel and returned to one of the biggest babyface reactions in history started another stable with the theme Evolution showcasing the past and Ric Flair present in himself and the future in a Randy Orton and a Batista. Had a long-term blood feud with his best friend Shawn Michaels that saw him almost end his career, but years later rekindled their friendship and reformed DX. And now he is the COO of the WWE and currently runs NXT as the head of the promotion. Triple H takes a lot of flack for marrying into the McMahon family and pulling a ton of strings backstage, but as a performer, he's a true student of the game and one of the best ring generals in existence, capable of turning the dial up to 100 at any moment and delivering some of the most timeless, brutal matches that we've ever seen. He had classics with greats like Mick Foley, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, The Undertaker, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, John Cena, and even Kurt Angle, winning championships and main eventing WrestleMania. A total all-around athlete and a master of psychology. They don't come as often as Triple H, and he has earned a spot at the top.
Number 7. Bret the Hitman Hart.
The excellence of execution, a Canadian hero, the hallmark of the Hart family, and a man simply known as the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. From his time as a tag team champion with the late great Jim, the Anvil Neidhart, in the Hart Foundation, to his storied singles career, winning multiple championships and main eventing WrestleMania on 3 different occasions. Bret Hart single-handedly reshaped all of our notions of what a great wrestling match is, making the masses appreciate the technical wizardry of an in-ring match. His matches with Owen Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin were legendary, and his beef with Shawn Michaels led to one of wrestling's controversial moments at Montreal, 1997, soon giving birth to the greatest era in wrestling history, the Attitude Era. It's hard to think about Bret Hart without wallowing in all the tragedy that's befallen the Hart family, including Bret's own premature retirement due to a concussion he suffered in the 90s. And it would have been amazing to see how Bret's career would have fared in the new millennium. What would a Bret Hart versus Daniel Bryan match be like? Or a Bret Hart versus Seth Rollins match? Or a Bret Hart versus Kurt Angle? What about a Bret Hart versus a John Cena? Hitman proved he could work with anyone. And in a perfect world, he'd be wrestling's hour-long barn burner for the rest of the time.
Number 6. The Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
He may not be the only nature boy in history, second to Buddy Rogers, but no one can wear it better than the limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing son of a gun. Although his true world championship run is 21 title victories, Ric Flair's official 16-time is still unheard of. He is revered as a god in the wrestling business, a true measuring stick. Over his 40-year career, Flair perfected the art of the wealthy playboy heel and popularized the concept of the suited-up, rich, high societal wrestling stable with the 4 horsemen, trademarking the 4-hand sign and becoming one of the greatest stables in wrestling history. He was the top technician, cheater, and bleeder in the game, and it's hard to find a single wrestler out there who didn't say that he was one of, if not the best, of all time. From his early wars with Dusty Rhodes, to his classic series of matches with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, all the way to his retirement match, Flair is a timeless gem that wrestled the same high-quality matches in his 50s that he did in his 20s. For a business that has shortened lives and broken down bodies, the fact that Ric Flair can still flip over a turnbuckle, flop face first on the mat, and still get up, hitting chops and strutting is beyond amazing. Every upstart worker in the business is trying to be the next Ric Flair. There have been bigger draws, there have been bigger shows, there have been bigger moments, but nobody embodies the soul of professional wrestling like the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Number 5. Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels.
A man of many names, the showstopper, the headliner, the main event, the icon, and Mr. WrestleMania. But we all know him as HBK, the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. Have you ever asked yourself why he was called the Heartbreak Kid? Because when Shawn Michaels felt pain in the ring, we felt it. No one sold agony, heartache, or triumph like the Heartbreak Kid. Michaels during his time was the most athletic, inspired, and daring storyteller in the business, raising the bar for the entire industry with each match. He performed above and beyond in every single bout, competing in more 5-star matches than anyone in history, while also birthing many firsts. The ladder match, Hell in a Cell, Royal Rumble winner, and the first to win it all from the #1 entrant. An originator in D-Generation X, and the first ever WWE Grand Slam champion. The emotion one felt while watching a Shawn Michaels match was unlike anything else, and he used that emotion to create art inside the ring. He was a gifted performer who took wrestling to athletic heights never imagined, and his legacy is made all the sweeter knowing it was almost over in 1998 when he retired due to 2 herniated discs in his lower back, a serious career-ending injury. 4 years later, at SummerSlam 2002, he returned to the ring to wrestle Triple H, not missing a single step. His classics with The Undertaker, Triple H, Bret Hart, Scott Hall, Kurt Angle, and many others have earned him a spot right at the top. If anyone deserved to retire and never come back, it's this man. Thank you, HBK. Thank you, Shawn Michaels.
Number 4. The Rock.
In 1996, if you told me Rocky Maivia would not only transcend wrestling as one of the greatest performers of all time, but also become Hollywood's highest paid A-list actor, I tell you to take a right turn directly into the mental hospital. Coming in at number 4 is the jabroni beating, pie eating, high flying, electrifying, elbow dropping, spine popping, trailblazing, eyebrow raising, people's champ, The Rock. Let's cut the crap. Rock is great in the ring, and he's given us some truly memorable showdowns with the likes of Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, Undertaker, Chris Jericho, Hulk Hogan, and even John Cena. In terms of pure athleticism and the ability to work an arena in a frenzy, The Rock is the ace of his class. With that said, Rocky's best asset and the #1 tool in his shed is his ability to entertain millions on the microphone. Once Rock steps through those ropes and grabs the microphone, you know you're in for one of the most hilarious, instantly quotable treats ever. From quotes like, "Finally, The Rock has does come back. Just bring it. Check yourself into the Snackdown Hotel. Poontang Pie. It doesn't matter what your name is. The Rock's overabundance of charisma has allowed him to cross over into Hollywood and become an honest-to-goodness movie star, something many other wrestlers have tried to do with very little success. And even now, he is still tremendously popular to a point that he can return to WWE tomorrow after years of being gone and still be received with open arms. He's won a multitude of championships. He has victories over many legends and has main evented WrestleMania on many different occasions. If The Rock is nowhere on your greatest of all time list, then it really doesn't matter. If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Number 3. The Undertaker.
Once upon a time, Mean Mark Calloway was a stiff. One of those 7-foot-tall projects brought in for refinement and maybe a monster heel run. But in 1990, when he joined WWF, he was given a gimmick as a zombie-like Grim Reaper and Paul Bearer as a manager, instantly becoming one of WWE's greatest gimmicks ever produced. Over 3 decades of destruction, Taker has morphed into the single most respected person in the wrestling industry and owns one of the most illustrious wrestling streaks in history, going 21-0 at WrestleMania. From his debut at Survivor Series 1990 all the way to current year 2019, Undertaker's mere presence is awe-inspiring and has transcended the very industry of wrestling. From his spectacularly dark and breathtaking entrance to his astonishing cruiserweight-style moves where he walks the ropes with old school and flies over the top rope, and he's 6'10", by the way. No one puts on a show like The Undertaker. Even in his 50s, with his limited physical abilities, Taker is a national treasure, an invaluable artifact. His undefeated streak brought about some of WrestleMania's most dramatic and timeless matches with greats such as Randy Orton, Batista, Edge, Triple H, and yes, even Shawn Michaels. His persona is solely responsible for giving birth to classic matches like Hell in a Cell, Buried Alive, and the Casket match. It is the ultimate story of someone taking a dead-end gimmick that should have failed, and he turned it into gold. There's a reason he's called the Phenom, because no one has earned more respect than The Undertaker.
Number 2. Hulk Hogan.
The business has had the pleasure of experiencing many larger-than-life personalities. But if you were to take a one-word associated test and hear the term wrestling, who's the first name that pops in your head? 99% of you instantly thought of the immortal one, Hulk Hogan. After building a solid reputation in Japan, it wasn't until Hulk Hogan came to the WWF and donned the Hulkamania red and yellow brother that things truly took off. To this day, Hogan is the most recognized wrestling star worldwide and the most popular wrestler of the 80s, and some might even say beyond that. What he lacks in technical prowess, although we can all agree that if he wanted to, he actually could wrestle inside the ring, but I digress. He makes up with impeccable strength and an unlimited resource of psychology. Although he's only had a few wrestling classics with the likes of Savage, Warrior, The Rock, and others, the quality of his matches comes second to his ability to work a crowd, drawing massive numbers and attendance like no one has ever seen before. His popularity gave birth to WrestleMania and the concept of wrestling being on pay-per-view, while also allowing him to become a successful mainstream franchise with everything from cereal to action figures to Saturday morning cartoons. Then, in 1996, Hogan shocked the world and turned heel, kicking off another giant money-making era. This time with the NWO storyline, slamming the competition for 83 weeks. Following the war, he returned to WWE and finished his career with classics against The Rock, Shawn Michaels, and many more. For better or worse, this man is the face of wrestling, the Babe Ruth of professional wrestling. Hulk Hogan will always be synonymous with the industry that made him famous. And yes, it's not a perfect career. His politicking was contemptible, but that doesn't change the fact that Hulk Hogan captured imaginations more than any wrestler before or since. So say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and give some serious thought to what you might do when Hulkamania runs wild on you, brother. Before we move on to number one, I had to do this outtake. I know most of you watching were wondering, why didn't you mention his racial history? The time where he used a racial slur and got in trouble for it. This is what I will say. I hope one day Hogan, maybe he has by the time you watch this, and if he hasn't, maybe he will, and he should. I hope he finds the courage to come out, just admit that what you said was racist, what you said was wrong, and that you will work to be a better person. That you are working to improve on who you are, that you are working to make a better world. Because as of right now, even as I record this, he still has yet to do even that. And I want Hogan to get the full respect that he has earned. But until he does that, I'm afraid we as people won't ever see him as the Babe Ruth of wrestling ever again. So Hogan, if you happen to pass by this video, all I ask is that you just come out, admit your faults, and I promise you, people will love you as much as they did before all that craziness. Thank you. Let's move on with the rest of the video.
And the number one greatest wrestler of all time is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And here we are, the number one spot, the single greatest wrestler of any generation. A man who's been in WCW, ECW, and the WWE. A man who's won tag team championships, mid-card championships, and multiple world championships. He's a man that single-handedly saved the WWF from getting absolutely destroyed by WCW during the wars. Stone Cold Steve Austin, that Texas rattlesnake, the bionic redneck, the toughest SOB in history, the rule-breaking, beer-drinking Mr. DTA don't trust anybody. When it comes right down to it, there has never been a bigger star in wrestling than Stone Cold Steve Austin. And the irony of it all is that he became the most profitable wrestler despite suffering what could have been a career-ending injury. The injury happened in 1997 when Owen Hart accidentally dropped Austin on his neck, which would wound up severely limiting his in-ring capabilities. Believe it or not, before Stone Cold versus McMahon was a thing, Austin was a superb technician. Austin cut his teeth in WCCW and the USWA before heading to WCW as Stunning Steve Austin and becoming a member of Paul Heyman's Dangerous Alliance. Heyman, knowing that Austin was great but never used, gave him an opportunity to cut some promos in ECW after getting fired from WCW, and the rest is history. He joined WWF in 1996 and at King of the Ring cut the controversial Austin 3:16 Says promo, starting the rise of WWE's next big mega star. Austin was so wildly chaotic and malicious that the anti-hero loving audience began cheering him over Bret Hart, leading to a complete role reversal at WrestleMania 13 after a classic that many call the greatest wrestling match ever. From there on out, it was a stunner for Vince, a stunner for The Rock, one for The Undertaker, for Kane, for Mick Foley, for Kurt Angle, for everybody, for Shane McMahon, for Stephanie McMahon, even Linda McMahon. This man showed no remorse for anyone. The more people he stunned, the more mud holes he stumped and walked dry, the more the fans loved him. Steve Austin is responsible for one of the greatest runs in the history of pro wrestling. A bald-headed everyman with a chip on his shoulder and a whole lot of contempt for authority, as one would expect him to have after being unjustly fired by WCW. What made Austin a household name was that he was fundamentally believable. He was fired from WCW for not fitting the mold, and he remembered that rejection with every step he took in the ring. His feud with Vince McMahon is heralded as the greatest wrestling feud in history, drawing astronomical ratings that wrestling has never seen and most likely will never see again. The story of him bucking a broken system that gave birth to a horrible era of wrestling in the early 90s and ruined the lives of many greats resonated with millions of fans and pushed people like The Rock, Triple H, Undertaker, Kane, and Mick Foley to step up their game. The Rock may be more famous, John Cena may be more pleasant with the media, Ric Flair has had a longer time on top, Shawn Michaels has had more classics, and Hulk Hogan might have been more iconic. But when we talk about the ability to captivate millions around the world and make them love watching wrestling on a weekly basis, no one is even in the same library as Stone Cold Steve Austin. So how's about we sit back, pull out a beer, and appreciate him for what he's done. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. Okay, that concludes my list. Thank you guys for watching. This list is not permanent, it's not gospel, nor do I plan on it being as such. This is simply a subjective list of who I believe are the absolute best performers to ever step through the ropes. And so now, I hand it over to you. Who do you believe are the top 10 greatest wrestlers of all time? Let me know down below in the comments. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you take the time to leave a like and subscribe. While you're at it, give me a follow on Twitter, like me on Facebook, and donate using PayPal or Patreon to get more videos like this. I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll catch you guys next time. This is your boy, the Alyx Man, signing off. Peace.